Hoggard coming to you from Studio 2014 with another Watchman video broadcast. Last week we left off talking about drugs, talking about marijuana, Mary Jane, pot, talking about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and reefer madness, and all of these things that are going on. The drug situation. Can you stop and think about the amount of power? And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with principalities and powers, part of the fourth kingdom, powers. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers. Think of the amount of power that drugs have, not only over an individual, but over culture, over politics, over banking, and if you think that legalizing marijuana in Washington and Colorado was just simply for the people to enjoy their leisurely activities on the weekend, you're crazy. The Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil, and now we've taken something that used to be illegal in those two states, and now we've made it, but we just didn't make it legal. We made it profitable as far as the government is concerned, because now they're going to tax it. And that's what's going, you can see it. It's going to envelop here in Illinois. Rich is right over there from here, okay, right across the Mississippi River. They're wanting to legalize marijuana. They already have it for medicinal purposes only, right? Legalize marijuana. They want to criminalize soft drinks. They want to put a tax on soft drinks. And they want to tax them because we just want people to be more aware of the health issues concerning this. And this is actually going to save the state of Illinois millions of dollars in health care costs because people will drink less. Are you kidding me? The government doesn't tax anything and then wants you to use less of it. They want to tax it because they want you to smoke cigarettes. They want you to guzzle down gasoline in your cars. Why? They tax it. The more you burn in gasoline, the more money they get. The more sodas you drink, the more money they get. The more cigarettes you smoke, the more money they get. Now the more marijuana that's made legal around this country, the more money the federal and the state level governments are going to get. This is partly about money, not totally. Because we started looking into this last week. When we start dealing with drugs, cannabis, LSD, heroin, methamphetamine, when we start dealing with these drugs, ecstasy, cocaine, we are dealing with things that hold power over people. And it's just like what the Bible says about hell. She's never satisfied. She hath enlarged herself. And once a person, and I've had many of you write to me since last week's Watchman broadcast, saying, Pastor Mike, thank you for doing this. This is what held me in its grip until Christ broke me free from the chains of bondage. And you know not only the kind of physical power that it held on you, but you also know the spiritual power that was overwhelming you as well. But there's always a couple that would write in and say, yeah, you're knocking pot, and you do this, and you do that. Pot's good, man, because, like, God gave it to us for, stuff and stuff. Yeah, they make rope out of it. Does it let me say this. Does it have certain medical benefits? Not a doctor. I don't know that for sure. I wouldn't doubt it if I had the right kind of facts. I probably wouldn't doubt it. Leaves and herbs and things that we pull from this planet that God gave us have certain medical benefits in a very tightly arranged, neatly confined container. It's just like when Paul told Timothy to use a little tiny bit, a little wine for thy stomach's sake. Not like a whole gallon of it. Hey, Timothy, have some wine. It'll make you feel good. That's not what he told him. Use a little wine for thy stomach's sake. The book of Proverbs talking about give strong drink to one who is about ready to perish. We give people, cancer patients who are dying, we give them large amounts of morphine. Why? Put them out of their mind. Put them out of their misery. The Bible prescribes that. Strong drink for him who's about ready to perish. And so, yeah, I get it. But that's like justifying the large-scale sale and distribution of alcoholic beverages in this country because every now and then it helps with a cough. It's like justifying the amount of drugs that are taken into the American system to justify its limited use for some medicinal good. I grant you it probably does. Some of you take various kinds of pain relievers. Some of those are based upon poppy seeds, and they're called opiates. Okay, you take them for the temporary relief of pain. I get it. I understand it. I've done it before. Okay, no big deal. But we cannot justify the overwhelming spirit and power that drugs have over the human mind, humanity itself, politics, banking, businesses. It's in our lifestyles, our music. Think about that. We started talking about Jeremy Narby's The Cosmic Serpent. I read this book several years ago, and basically, and I was just kind of thumbing through it here before the broadcast came on, and he does an excellent study on all the shamans, all the witch doctors, all of the quote-unquote medicine men around the world. He said they all, when they went into their trances, they all saw serpents, every one of them. They all had this idea of serpents twined together. And he said, it just looks like to me that they were seeing DNA. And that was the purpose of him writing this book. He calls it DNA and the Origins of Knowledge. And he basically said there was two ways that these shamans or these magi or these magicians or these witch doctors or whoever it was, there was two ways that they would get their mind into a state where they could hear from the spirits. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind bigger than drugs. I found it between last week and this week. He said there's a couple ways they do this. Number one, they learn how to meditate. Now, we've dealt with that before. I'm going to cover some of that again as we move through this presentation on drugs. A lot of times they'll do meditation. They will bring their mind down to a certain state called an alpha state, and then in some cases deeper than that, and they hear from these visitors, these spirits, these beasts, as it were. And these beasts are communicating thoughts and ideas and giving them visions, and a lot of times they'll see snakes doing this, looks like DNA. But he said, you know, sometimes meditation, that's not fast enough. So they'll take drugs, ayahuasca and tobacco and other forms of hallucinogenic. The word we learned last week was entheogens, entheogenic drugs. Drugs that when you took them, it made you look, and that's what the word entheogen means, en meaning inside of you, E-N, theo, God, gen, looking for the God that is on the inside of you. He's down in there. He's trapped. And in your normal state of consciousness, he can't get out. Let me show you what that looks like from the Bible. I have my Bible. Just happen to have it open to Revelation chapter 9. The fifth angel sounded. See that number 5? Remember Lucifer in Isaiah 14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose what looks like a Cheech and Chong movie. A smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Sounds like a Van Halen concert, doesn't it? Then, and there, watch this, verse 3. You think about the language of this book. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. And unto them was given power, as the rock group scorpions of the earth have power. Think about the connection. Music, the rock group Scorpions, a rock group called Poison. All right? Then we move on down, because now that this pit is opened, there are these devils here. And then there is, in verse 11, Revelation 9:11. I did a video on that. They had a king. It's called the Revelation 9:11 or something like that. Anyway, you'll find it. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. Anybody who takes drugs, once you get into it, you don't control them. They control you. They have power over you. They dominate you. They lord over you. They dictate how you act. Your marriage, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your friends and family, your relationship, your ability to work on the job, your ability to do things in and out of traffic. Every aspect of your life becomes centered around serving the angel of the bottomless pit. Bottomless because it's never satisfied. And every aspect of your life centers around opening that doorway again, opening up, opening up. The angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, and the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. You know what they mean? You know what they mean? Destroyer. Ask yourself the question, do drugs build or do they destroy? Those of you who have come out of that, you know the answer to that. Those of you who are still in it and wanting to justify and don't like what I said because you want to justify it, you're going to have to lie about it. But the truth of it is drugs destroy lives. We were learning about the cosmic serpent. We were learning about Jeremy Narby's, not only his research into the medicine men who were taking large amounts of a tobacco liquor or ayahuasca, these entheogens. These are new words I've had to learn. Not only his research into the medicine men that were doing it, but he himself actually participated in these experiments. And he said, I saw them. I saw the serpents twined around one another. This is what he described in his book, page 24. One of the men he was working with, he said, I often asked Carlos to explain the origin of place names to me. He would invariably reply that nature itself had communicated to them, or them to the ayahuasqueros, tabaqueros, in their hallucinations. That is how nature talks, because in nature there is God, and God talks to us in our visions. When an ayahuasquero drinks his plant brew, the spirits present themselves to him and explain everything. Then he says, listen to this. According to the shamans of the entire world, one establishes communication with spirits via music. For the ayahuasqueros, it is almost inconceivable to enter the world of spirits and remain silent. Angelica Gebhardt-Sayer discusses the visual music projected by the spirits in front of the shaman's eyes. It is made up of three-dimensional images that coalesce into sound and that the shaman imitates by emitting corresponding melodies, page 68. And so basically what he's saying is what we Americans have known for years. Drugs and rock and roll. Think about this. I remember reading this several years ago. Lady Gaga. Oh, that wonderful woman who appears with the Muppets in the Christmas special. You know, she's all for kids. Lady Gaga admitted, and it's like coming out. It's like no big deal. Yeah, I smoke marijuana when I write songs. It helps me write my songs. She admits to it. Why? Because drugs and rock and roll mix together. If you examine, and we did, if you examine the words of the Old Rugged Cross versus the words of, I don't know, da, 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 whatever that song is, if you examine the words, what does that mean? What does that mean? You have no idea. She knows it because there was something that she couldn't write the song while she was just in a normal manner. Just, I don't know, something blocking it. Some door was closed, and by smoking marijuana, that opened a door of reality to her that enabled her to write down the lyrics to a lot of her songs that she wrote. That's what, it doesn't matter what rock and roll artist, doesn't matter what rock and roll songwriter you talk to. Most of the songs in rock music, and I would say probably even some quote-unquote Christian music, written under the influence of a spirit, whether they got in touch with that spirit by